Now more than ever, it's important for you and your family to enjoy the spaces you're in most often. Visit FergusonShowrooms.com to shop online or schedule a personalized consultation to meet with our experts at your local Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery. Together we'll help you make the most of home and create a space you'll love to live in. Get started on your project and discover extraordinary products like the Pro Grand Range by Thermador.
Hey Columbus, spring is almost here, and now's the perfect time to get a healthy, pest-free lawn with your local experts at True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 855-207-5226 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Before we get started, I just wanted to let you all know that there is a new website for the podcast. It's www.cultvaultpodcast.com, where you can find recent episodes, blog posts from cult survivors, and places to sign up for exclusive content starting at only £1 a week at sites like patreon.com/thecultvault. There's also the option to subscribe to my monthly newsletter, where you can find out all about upcoming content. And again, I've been very lucky to have received some recent sponsorships, so as much as I would love to avoid putting ads in the episodes, I hope you don't mind listening to a few here and there so I can make some pennies to keep creating this content. Hello listeners, and welcome to this week's episode of The Conspiracy Vault. This week we are going to be talking about a topic I explored previously on a podcast called the Cosmic Pizza Podcast, which I will be appearing on again soon to talk about the recent monoliths that were erected worldwide. Today I am going to be looking at unidentified submerged objects, more commonly known as USOs. Unidentified flying objects, or UFOs. Everyone's heard of these, right? There's the 1947 Roswell incident with the supposed weather balloon, and all of the theories, sightings, and alleged alien activity around Area 51 and the world. But have you ever heard of unidentified submerged objects? According to Wikipedia, an unidentified submerged object, or USO, is an unknown object underwater. The term does not necessarily refer to an object of paranormal origin, but today we are going to explore several situations where it could indeed refer to paranormal origin or out-of-this-world explanations. The first event takes place in Canada in the 1960s on a warm evening in a place called Shag Harbour. Shag Harbour is a small fishing village near Nova Scotia, and in 1967 something strange was spotted by local residents in the sky and near the water. According to the History Channel on YouTube, on the evening of October 4th, 1967, two friends were on their way home driving through familiar roads when one suddenly spotted something above the trees. The passenger, David Kendrick, points to his friend Norman Smith, who is driving, and says, "Look at those lights in the sky." Smith recalls that when they first spotted the lights, they looked like they were stopped still in the sky, but because they were driving in the vehicle, the couple couldn't be sure of this. Eventually, the pair lost sight of the object before arriving home. Both recall feeling shook up and unaware of what they had seen or how to explain it. Smith approached his father at the house, hoping the object was hanging around long enough for his father to see it. And it did. Kendrick, Smith, and his father were not the only residents in Shag Harbour to see the lights. Other locals watched as they flickered on and off in the sky. There were even reports that the strange object suddenly turned on its side before plummeting into the harbour water. Eyewitnesses were quick to notify the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP. According to researchers and the RCMP, most people who witnessed the events were concerned about survivors, especially after watching the object plummet into the water. Onlookers assumed that whoever was in the USO, they were in immediate danger of drowning or death from impact. When RCMP officers arrived at the site, witnesses recall seeing a pale yellow light moving under the water's surface. According to the same witnesses, the light vanished as quickly as it had appeared all of a sudden. At this point, fishermen climbed into their boats looking for the light in the harbour. Initially, they headed out looking for survivors, but all they found when they arrived at the location where the lights had last been seen was a thick, yellowy orange foam floating on top of the water. The foam allegedly disappeared too, and the search then ended. By morning, the RCMP had made contact with a local military base to try and explain what happened. But there was no rational explanation, and so many local residents had witnessed the event. Canadian Armed Forces officially stated that the object was a UFO. Hours after the sighting, a naval team were dispatched to search the wider area for debris or signs of the UFO, but they found absolutely no trace over the 3-day search, and on October 7th, the search was cancelled. However, 26 years later, the case was reopened and unofficial information came forward. Apparently, naval members have reported that the USO actually escaped by going underwater. According to the military, the USO travelled up the water and came to rest by a place named Government Point, a secret USA military base functioning on Canadian soil. This base was used to work on pinpointing submarine activity, potentially from Soviet subs, and it used an advanced grid mechanism. According to the data, the grid system picked up interference on the night of the sighting. Navy vessels responded, around 7 in total, camping over the object and keeping an eye on it. Divers went down to get a closer look. One diver confidently said this was a UFO with activity apparent on board, although this was never on the official record. After a week of surveillance, it is alleged that the USO began moving again, through the coast of Nova Scotia and out into the Gulf of Maine, resurfacing and flying away suddenly. Perhaps the military base being involved in the locations the USO or UFO visited could indicate some kind of information scouting by foreign nations. Is this an explanation? The next incident takes place in 1972 and 1982 in Lake Baikal in southeast Siberia. According to livescience.com, Lake Baikal is the largest freshwater lake in the world by volume and the world's deepest lake. Somewhat crescent-shaped, it is in the southern Siberia area of Russia. In 1996, it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Lake Baikal is the oldest lake in the world. It is home to approximately 1,700 to 1,800 endemic plant and animal species, said Jennifer Kastner of Pacific Environment's Russia program. Additionally, it holds 20% of the world's fresh water due to the lake's depth. An article on onebaikal.ru says a strange crash of a Tu-104 plane occurred near the town of Sludyanka on the southern coast of Lake Baikal in 1959. The loss of the plane that crashed into Baikal has not been registered by any detachments. Before falling into the lake, the captain of the ship allegedly informed the dispatchers about an unidentified flying object moving in the sky. All those present in the control room at that time had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and the people fishing at the lake nearby saw a flying saucer chasing the falling plane. It accompanied the aircraft until the latter fell into the water. Half a century later, Russian ufologists organised an expedition to the crash site and spent some time there. According to their version, the incident occurred as a result of the actions of aliens who have a secret camp at the bottom of Baikal in the area of Sludyanka. Ufologists even found the aliens and made videos of dubious quality featuring a UFO randomly moving across the night sky. The researchers did not explain why the camp of the UFOs, or more precisely USO, was located exactly in the depths of Baikal. Another incident that happened in 1979, a Russian nuclear submarine, fully weaponized and mobile at a depth of approximately 260 meters, had a crew on board its submarine when they detected 6 unknown objects on their sonar. The 6 objects were travelling in formation directly towards their submarine at a speed in excess of 265 miles per hour. 6 disc-shaped objects continued toward them, gaining speed. When the Russian submarine became aware of their presence and slowed down to monitor the actions of the 6 discs slowed down too, almost in unison with the submarine. The Russian crew was said to be stunned that the objects could slow down so quickly when they were moving at such high speeds. The crew then manned the battle stations, worrying about a collision. They believed they could be under attack. So the submarine resurfaced, but so did the 6 objects, as they breached the water and fly into the distance at a crazy speed. More information is released in July 2009 when the Russian government declassifies documents on USO interactions with Russian submarines, speaking specifically of this event and another in 1982. In Lake Baikal, 1,642 meters is the depth of this lake, making it the deepest freshwater lake in the world. 7 Russian divers were at a depth of 50 meters when they suddenly realized they were being watched. Allegedly, they encounter a group of large humanoid creatures that appear much larger than the average human. Allegedly, they wore a large helmet of some sort and covered their entire heads with tight silver suits. They looked to be human in shape, but around 9 feet tall, and they were swimming. They didn't have any equipment with them. The divers then decided to capture one of the creatures, and according to the declassified documents, the creatures reacted. There was a huge upwards thrust that caused the men to resurface at such a speed that they would all suffer from decompression sickness, also known as the bends. There was only one decompression tank nearby that could fit 2 people. They put all 7 divers in one tank, hoping it would do the job, but 3 died and 4 were severely injured. The one Baikal.ru website goes on to say, "How can one see aliens at Baikal?" The atmosphere of the sacred sea invites mysticism and secrecy, whereas the amazing landscapes and large scale of everything around allows you to imagine quite incredible things. It is easier to see rare natural phenomena on Baikal due to the peculiarities of local conditions, and the stories about luminous water, humanoids in silver overalls, and unidentified flying and swimming objects have not yet been confirmed in a trustworthy way. Expeditions of ufologists provide conflicting information. First, the camp of aliens is situated in the north of Baikal, then it can be found in the south. First, the unknown creatures were almost caught by military divers, then the aliens shot down a plane. The idea of an existence of military divers in northern Baikal seems very dubious. However, ufologists are right in some way. Baikal attracts everyone like a magnet. Therefore, the best way to find aliens in that place is to go there and search for them on your own. And now a word from our sponsors. Taction USA are an American-based company that aim to supply police departments and CSI instructors. They wish for these departments to purchase their forensic supplies on their Amazon store and straight from their website tactionusa.com, the home of law enforcement supplies. By doing this, we can move away from traditional forensic businesses that charge more, have wild minimum order sizes and shipping costs. At Taction USA, there are none of these requirements. What's more, for true crime fans and collectors of forensic toolkits, you can visit this site yourself and get yourself some amazing items. Do you know a true crime fan or someone in the law enforcement industry? Find the perfect gift at Taction USA, and don't forget to tell them. Taction USA Law Enforcement Supplies allows law enforcement workers to gather these supplies at competitive rates. Did you know that all of their supplies utilize prime shipping? So there is never the traditional waiting time that comes with other forensic suppliers. Share the website with your law enforcement friends today and visit tactionusa.com. That's TACTION USA.com. One notable event that has been discussed in recent media thanks to the Joe Rogan podcast is the Nimitz incident, spoken about by retired US Navy pilot David Fravor. This USO incident, commonly known in pop culture as the Tic Tac USO, has been a topic of discussion in the UFO and alien conspiracy communities. An article on History.com by Greg Doherty says, the date was November 14, 2004, and the location was the Pacific Ocean, about 100 miles southwest of San Diego, California. The USS Nimitz carrier striker group, which included the nuclear-powered carrier and the missile cruiser USS Princeton, were conducting a series of drills prior to deployment in the Persian Gulf. At about 2 p.m., 2 FA-18F Super Hornet fighter jets from the Nimitz received an unusual order from the operations officer aboard the Princeton. Already airborne, the pilots were told to stop their training maneuvers and proceed to new coordinates for a real-world task. More ominously, the officer asked if they were carrying live weapons. They replied that they were not. The Princeton's highly advanced radar had been picking up mysterious objects for several days by then. The Navy called them Anomalous Aerial Vehicles, or AAVs, a term the military preferred to unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, which had been tainted by its association with flying saucers, little green men, and countless crackpots. According to Kevin Day, the Princeton's senior radar operator at the time, His screen showed well over 100 AAVs over the course of a week. Watching them on display was like watching snowfall from the sky, he said in his first ever on-camera interview for History's Unidentified Inside America's UFO Investigation. According to Day, the AAVs appeared at an altitude greater than 80,000 feet, far higher than commercial or military jets typically fly. Initially, the Princeton's radar team didn't believe what they were seeing, chalking up the anomalies to an equipment malfunction, but after they determined that everything was operating as it should, they began detecting instances in which the AAVs dropped with astounding speed to lower, busier airspace. Day approached the Princeton's commander about taking action. "I was chomping at the bit," he says. "I just really wanted to intercept these things." It didn't come to wide public attention until 2017 when the New York Times ran an article about the sighting and released the video of the Tic Tac shot by the Nimitz pilot that day. Given the numerous pilots history has spoken with, the Nimitz incident was not an isolated event. There have been more than a dozen incidents off the East Coast, some as recent as 2015. The Navy, which seems to make little effort to investigate the Nimitz episode back in 2004, also appears to be taking the subject more seriously now. In late April 2019, the Navy announced it was drafting new guidelines for reporting any sightings of unidentified aircraft. The initiative was intended to destigmatize such reports and make it easier for service members to come forward with less fear of ridicule. According to a Navy spokesman, there have been a number of reports of unauthorized and/or unidentified aircraft entering various military-controlled ranges and designated airspace in recent years. The Navy, it was announced, was investigating each and every report. As with all things UFO, AAV, and UAP, the Nimitz incident has its doubters. Some have suggested the crafts were advanced reconnaissance drones and that the churning water was caused by a submarine, but whatever the now famous Tic Tac actually was, it's hard to dispute that the pilots, the radar operators, and the infrared camera had seen something, and chances are it wasn't just a big breath mint. Lastly, an event that happened in April 2013 is one that I will describe and supply a link to the video in the episode description. The footage was released from Homeland Security in 2013 and was filmed in Puerto Rico. This is allegedly the most credible footage of USOs captured to this day. It has been released publicly. Beginning at 9:20 p.m. on April 25, 2013 at the Rafael Hernandez Airport, the footage was captured by a crew member on a DHC-8 turboprop aircraft from US Customs and Border Protection. The footage is taken on a thermal camera. The object captured appears to be moving extremely fast over water before entering the water and resurfacing, and re-entering the water again. At one point, the object appears to even split in half or be joined by a second object. Newsweek.com released an article written by Callum Payton saying an unidentified flying object was seen flying at low altitude across the Rafael Hernandez Airport runway in Puerto Rico. The object did not give any warning signals, although it delayed the departure of a commercial flight. A US Customs and Border Protection aircraft captured infrared video of the episode that was supplied to the Scientific Coalition of Ufology, SCU, by a whistleblower. The video shows a vessel apparently travelling without lights at some instances below treetop altitude at speeds close to 100 miles per hour. An analysis of the video was published in a report by the SCU. The SCU says, on April 25, 2013, at about 9:20 p.m. local time, an unknown object at low altitude flew directly across the Rafael Hernandez Airport runway in Puerto Rico, causing a delayed departure of a commercial flight. There was no squawking transponder signal to alert the aircraft tower, nor was there any communication with the tower to prevent a dangerous situation with departing and arriving aircraft. Fortunately, an airborne US Customs and Border Protection aircraft captured the object on infrared video. This report is an analytical evaluation of that video, as well as witness statements and radar data of the area. An original copy of a thermal video was obtained from an official source on October 20th of 2013. The source of this video evidence was vetted and identified. The source wishes to remain completely anonymous to ensure no issues arise with the source's employers. The individual's occupation, address, and background history were verified by authors of this report as legitimate. Extensive efforts were made to ensure that this video did not contain any classified information, and none was found. The 3-minute video detailed the flight of an unknown object that crossed into northwestern Puerto Rico from the Atlantic Ocean, traversed the Rafael Hernandez Airport's airspace 2 times, and returned into the Atlantic Ocean, where it appeared to repetitively submerge. Analysis of the thermal imaging video revealed irregular characteristics of an unknown object not similar to any known or man-made object. The video was split into 7,027 individual frames so that careful analysis could be made. Evaluation of the video frame by frame enabled detailed characteristics of the object. The object's size, speed, location, infrared emissions, directional movement, and other properties were compared against all known possible explanations, including state-of-the-art drone capabilities and the possibility of a hoax. So these are a very small handful of incidents of USOs from different parts of the world and throughout history. Is there any credibility to any of them? If so, which one is the most convincing? Get in touch and let me know. You can find me at cultvaultpodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter and Instagram at cultvaultpod, or at www.cultvaultpodcast.com. I'm your speaker, Casey, and this has been the Conspiracy Vault.
Now more than ever, it's important for you and your family to enjoy the spaces you're in most often. Visit FergusonShowrooms.com to shop online or schedule a personalized consultation to meet with our experts at your local Ferguson, bath, kitchen, and lighting gallery. Together we'll help you make the most of home and create a space you'll love to live in. Get started on your project and discover extraordinary products like the Orizo chandelier from Progress Lighting.